أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear brothers and sisters, in this part we will talk about the traditions of the Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt in regard of the spiritual benefit of the holy month of Ramadan. In the previous talk we mentioned, and I mentioned a verse from the Holy Quran regarding the philosophy and the reason behind fasting. What I'm trying to, inshallah, talk about in a few minutes in this section is tradition of Ahlul Bayt, who talks about people who focus on only physiological impacts of fasting. Those who only gain thirst and hunger from fasting and nothing more. And we have tradition from Ahlul Bayt who said that there are people that all they gain from fasting are just physiological impact and nothing more, and that's further away from the purpose of fasting ultimately. So for example, we have Imam Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam said, As-siyam taskinun lil qulub. Fasting, it's a way and is a process for finding tranquility of the heart and the souls. So it's more than just feeling hungry, it's to find peace ultimately. In another tradition, we have Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in the book Ghurarul Hikam said, Siyamul qalb khayrun min siyamil lisan. The fasting of the heart and the soul is better than the fasting of the tongue. Wasiyamul lisan khayrun min siyamil batn. And fasting of the tongue is better than the fasting of the stomach, which refers to this chronological order of the impacts of fasting and which is the greatest impact, which should be the greatest achievement of fasting, which is siyamul qalb, which is the fasting of the heart. And what we mean by fasting of the soul is the words fasting means prevention, when you stop yourself. It refers to that self-control. And that should be one of the greatest achievement of fasting. That when somebody has actually control over their action, over their thoughts, over their decisions. Because sometimes our desires, our ego and our nafs is the one who dictate what we want, what we have to do. Even if our aql, our logic, our mantiq, our reason opposing the view of the desire and shahawat, sometimes we, as human beings, we get defeated easily by the shahawat because they are the stronger forces that they take over our decision-making abilities. So fasting is to make sure that we are boosting our reason, we are boosting our faith, we are increasing our ability to say no when it comes to temptations. For somebody who fasts in the month of Ramadan and they stay away from halal of God, a lawful action or a lawful and permissible food, or let's say even water. When somebody stay away from that because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Ramadan, and they have that willpower and they practice it for 30 days, for 29 days, depending on the month of Ramadan, the length of it, such person will have that ability to continue on the rest of the year on a good note. That alhamdulillah, I was able to say no to the halal of God because of God, so I will be able to say no to the haram and the unlawful because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This practice of willpower practice is one of the greatest benefits of Ramadan. And in the word of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the lowest level of fasting is the fasting of the stomach, means to have an empty stomach. The better than that is for your tongue to withhold, to control your tongue. That's the fasting of the tongue, to withhold and stop the tongue from being used in a way that cause Allah's wrath or disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And greater than that is the fasting of the qalb and the soul, which soul is our, as we see in Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. The one who purified the soul is ultimately are finding prosperity and happiness. And the one whose soul, man atallahu biqalbin salim. Quran mentions those who have the healthy soul, the pure soul. They will be the one who definitely find and achieve success in this life and hereafter. And such qalb could be achieved through actions, through self-control, through muraqabah, through observation of our actions, our thoughts, and eventually our decisions. And to think about the repercussion of our decisions. To think before saying something that what it will be the outcome and what will be the impact of what I say. Or in my business, what I do, what kind of impact this business will have. We have the tradition by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who I think beautifully conclude this section. As Imam alayhi salam said, إِذَا صُمْتَ, when you're fasting, make sure that also that your qalb is also fasting, your soul is also fasting. Your tongue is also وَلِسَانُك, and also your tongue is fasting. وَشِعْرُك, even your hair is fasting. وَجِلْدُك, your skin is fasting. In another word, when you're fasting, make sure that from fasting you don't just focus on not eating part or not drinking part, but also focus about the importance that my entire existence has to be controlled and has to be used for the right cause, including entire body, as such as small details as hair and skin, our flesh, our organs have to be used and utilized for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and staying away from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah, in this month of Ramadan, as we are achieving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure through fasting, through worship, through participating in programs that they are helping us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with listening to lectures regarding Quran or the teaching of the school of Ahlul Bayt, or recitation of the Quran itself. Make sure when we do those, we are achieving a lot of benefits, we're gaining a lot of rewards, but at the same time be aware of the damages and the problems that are possible to happen, that we may encounter in the month of Ramadan. The potential of sin, the potential of disobedience of Allah. Now we have that famous story that the Holy Prophet, somebody came to the Prophet and said, yes, my children are fasting, and to basically be proud of them, and mentioning that quality to the Prophet. And Prophet said, no, they're not fasting because they just gossip, they just did riba. And because of that, the soul of the fasting doesn't exist. Although riba, lying, they don't invalidate our fasting, the correctness of the fasting, they don't invalidate them, but the acceptance of the fasting, of course, will be affected by the sins such as riba, backbiting, gossiping, lying, or any similar action. So when we take a look at the list of the invalidators, mubtalat of fasting, they are the condition for the correctness, for the sihat of the fasting. But make sure that we want this this siyam to be accepted by Allah. And to be accepted by Allah, we have to make sure we deliver it pure. We deliver it with the least amount of pollution that it could be received from, God forbid, the act of disobedience. And ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His mercy, as He said, that our breathing in the month of Ramadan, out of His mercy, He counts it as an act of worship, as a tasbih. Our sleep will be counted as an act of worship. This is out of Allah's blessing and His infinite mercy, that He wants us to gain the most from this special opportunity that He provided for us. So inshallah, let's all of us take advantage of this. And let's remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is kinder to us, as Holy Prophet said, 1,000 times kinder to His creation than a mother to her child. So He wants us to be blessed, He wants us to be forgiven, He wants us to achieve kamal in life. But we have to, through willpower, through decision making, we have to do our part as well. He gave us that ikhtiyar and free will to make that decision, and now we're blessed with that ability, with making good decision, with making sure that we look deeper than the surface of fasting. We understand that fasting is also about controlling our actions as well. That after Ramadan, I feel that my tongue also is being utilized better. That my ability, my energy is being conserved for the right cause. So may Allah inshallah give us that tawfiq. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be from the reminded ones. As Allah said to the Prophet, فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. In Surah Ghashiyah, Allah said to the Prophet, you remind people. And he said, إِن تَنْفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. If the remembrance, if the reminders would be beneficial, you do your part of the remembrance, to remind them to remember. So by nature, we know a lot of what I said, a lot of the good messages that exist, but we need to be reminded sometimes. So I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah give us this openness of the soul, the ability of the soul to actually to receive the message of the truth, inshallah. Thank you so much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.